100K, 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 every day, we don't play, here to stay, we here to stay, concentrate, anticipate, it's okay,
Hello, my crypto juggernauts and family. Welcome to the Mx3 Crypto Report, your destination for relevant crypto information when you need it the most. My name is Michael, and we have Mike.
Hello, everybody.
And we have Mark.
Hello.
And we are Mx3. Thank you for tuning in today. As per usual, subscribe, smash that like button, hit that notification button, and leave a comment. We appreciate your support as we continue to give you valuable content. Okay, Mike, I'm gonna let you take the wheel.
All right. Thank you, Michael. So during our last Did You Know conversation, we talked about what altcoins are, tongue twister, what crypto utilities are, what makes Bitcoin unique. Now let me tell you about a handful of altcoins that come to mind. The first is called Namecoin. Now, Bitcoin was officially brought to life in 2009. In 2011, the second crypto, Namecoin, was created. Unlike Bitcoin, which has the sole purpose of utilizing its blockchain to transfer value very securely, Namecoin uses a blockchain to build a decentralized DNS or domain name service. Now, Namecoin forked the Bitcoin code and customized it to create its own DNS system so websites could use the .bit extension at the end of a website URL and decentralized it to make it very difficult to take down someone's site or seize their domain name.
You see, I'm sorry to cut you, Mike, but this is very important, what you just read, because Namecoin was forked from the Bitcoin network, and another forking is just like that means that the system code was just copied over. For ladies and gentlemen out there, that's what the forking means. System code was copied over and made into this new blockchain, and for Namecoin. And so, with that being said, we can already see that Namecoin has a utility to it, right? Right, Mike?
That's right.
Yeah, and what is that utility again, Mike?
DNS.
Okay.
Domain name service.
Nice. And what does that do exactly? What does the domain name service do?
A domain name service basically, in terms of networking, it basically, let's put it this way. Every device on a network has to have what's called an IP address or an internet protocol address so that it can be identified. But when you start getting into the hundreds and thousands and millions of devices, it's very difficult to remember a specific number. So what DNS does, it basically translates. Sorry, I'm having tongue issues today. It translates that IP address into a name. So for instance, google.com. There is an IP address assigned to google.com, but who the heck knows? Nobody knows what that address is. But typing in google.com, the domain name system or service will translate that name to a specific IP address and find that particular device on the network. So they're doing something similar on the blockchain as well by doing this, by creating a DNS system that's blockchain built.
But so being blockchain built, that means it's decentralized.
Yes.
And so that means that the ones that we use right now are centralized. And so we're probably using the ones on Web 2, yes. But this one, Namecoin, is using the Web 3 protocol.
Yes.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yes. and I'm glad you mentioned that, Michael, because again, sometimes we have to emphasize the fact that there is a lot of uniqueness in cryptocurrency and these different blockchains. They all bring something different to the table. Like I mentioned, Bitcoin brings value, and this particular Namecoin brings a service which is its utility. So thank you for mentioning that.
No, thank you for teaching this.
Okay. All right. So although Namecoin was the first altcoin created, to date, Ethereum is the most popular altcoin. Ethereum, by definition, is a worldwide computer to run smart contracts. Ethereum is the second largest crypto by market cap and is trying to create a worldwide computer or electronic virtual machine, EVM, to run smart contracts. Smart contracts are contracts that execute according to the code they're programmed with. If done properly, smart contracts will open up an entirely new industry and save countless billions in legal and administrative fees. Yeah. Let me just repeat that. If done properly, it will open up an entirely new industry and save countless billions in legal and administrative fees.
You know, and based on that, like I remember talking about in the earlier episode that, you know, I know they're doing all this non-fungible token stuff with the smart contract and stuff, but I believe that it's going to evolve to from the tokens to having these contracts in everyday life. Like since these contracts are, you know, immutable and cannot be changed, you know, and are non-fungible, that means that if it, like, even in the realms of real estate, people could do their real estate contracts through these smart contracts or through an NFT platform, whereby they can get ownership of it, and only they have ownership due to the code. So you can't go and manipulate the files somewhere in the documentation, because only you would have the code and only you can send the code through. So I'm sure there's as you're saying, there's a huge future which, you know, would save billions with this type of stuff.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to mention that also, because I know the real estate market seems to be blowing up right now, especially with the way property is selling. It's a buyer's market right now. And I think it's really starting to blow up. And I think the company's name is Proptech, that's actually starting to do that now, to use online transactions, real estate transactions online, where you're able to purchase and sell properties, real estate pieces of property online, whether single family homes and things like that they can do it online. And I see this as being a big instrument in that particular type of area, with that smart contract, being able to actually put a house on the contract online, and just by a click of a mouse on your computer, you can actually do that now, which is fantastic. I mean, 5-10 years ago, that would have been unheard of, but now it's starting to be a commonplace thing.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm really glad you both mentioned that, because I've been doing some research. I don't want to say a lot right now, but I've been doing some research, and the real estate industry is one of the industries that is actually at the forefront of using blockchain technology. As a matter of fact, because there's so many. Mark, you mentioned being able to use a contract and put your home up for sale. Now there is actually a blockchain-based application where you can, instead of going into an office and doing closings, you can actually do this online through a blockchain-based application, and everything is again, it's all in the open because it's on the blockchain. So all of those hidden costs that we used to pay for, and those contracts that were 9,000 pages long, and we just was like initialing and signing our life away. Now all of that's in the open, and all of that has been eliminated. A lot of that, those fees and a lot of that stuff's been eliminated. So you will be paying a fraction to do a closing what we're paying currently now. And because there's so many different applications being built in the real estate industry, it's actually created a new technology group. It's called Proptech. So it's taken off. It's taken off tremendously. Yeah. It's taken off tremendously. Yeah. So props to all these inventive thinkers to be able to utilize this space.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so all right. Okay, sorry. An example, I think, yep. An example of game-changing Ethereum smart contracts is Prism. Smart contracts as a concept go far beyond legal contracts. They allow us to do awesome things that weren't possible before. Prism is built using an Ethereum smart contract and lets you create an entire trustless crypto portfolio of a bunch of different crypto assets without having to manage a ton of private keys. Once this comes out of beta, it will not only be able to be used for crypto assets, but could also be used for any other asset class or commodity, like we just talked about, real estate, and I'm sure there are other things right now that I'm actually gonna talk about. Other cryptos like SIA, and again, sorry if this is I'm mispronouncing, but Story, I think it's Story, are aiming to disrupt online storage like Amazon Web Services and Dropbox, respectively. Using a blockchain means they can decentralize online storage to make it difficult to hack, lower costs, and reward people with crypto for using their own computers to store other people's files, like an Airbnb for online storage. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, and this is what we call utility of tokens.
Yes.
Like, you know, this is just another part of the technology that just doesn't only have to deal with price go up, price go down. There's so much embedded into these tokens and these cryptocurrencies that I wish other people would just research further about and be enlightened on.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's what we're doing.
Amen to that.
Bringing the light.
Yeah.
Bringing the light. Okay. Like I said, you gotta love it. You gotta love things like this. Cryptos like MadeSafe and Blockstack are trying to rebuild the entire structure of the internet itself in a decentralized fashion, so censorship and destabilization will be far more difficult than it is currently. If you've seen the third season of Silicon Valley, this is what the characters are working on: a decentralized internet. Coins like Game Credit are building blockchain-based online game stores to compete with Apple's App Store and Google's Play Store. Game credits use inefficiencies with blockchain to pay out game developers 90% of revenue versus 70% that Apple and Google pay out. Wow. It's not hard to imagine developers moving to this store for an extra 20% more profit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's, you know, yeah, that speaks for itself.
Speaks volumes, right?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want a 20% increase in pay?
Right.
Okay. All right. So Brave is a web browser that ends adware and cuts you in on advertiser revenue. Brave is a very big deal. This browser is aiming to solve a huge problem: ads covering websites, adware, malware hiding in ads, and trackers slowing down your browser experience. Who's never experienced that, right?
Yeah.
So Brave has a built-in crypto wallet also that now lets you tip websites through voluntary microtransactions. Imagine not seeing annoying paywalls if you agree to pay 1/10 of a penny to read an article. Wow.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it? In the future, advertisers will be screened by Brave. And if you allow ads to be shown, you get a cut of the ad revenue deposited into your wallet.
I think I'm going to go download Brave.
Right?
Well,
I can see why it's one of my favorite browsers.
I'm saying.
Oh, man, this is next level stuff.
I'm saying.
This is next level stuff. So.
Yeah.
All right. So many people. So many projects are game changers. There are ways. There are way too many. I'm sorry. You guys get me hyped. I'm just thinking about this stuff and I'm kind of hyped. So let me slow down. There are way too many to list here, but my point is that not all altcoins are trying to dethrone Bitcoin. Just because there are more and more altcoins doesn't mean that's a bad or that is bad for Bitcoin. That's like saying a new stock listed on the NASDAQ is bad for all the others because it's taking possible revenue away from the other companies' stocks and valuations. This is not a zero-sum game, meaning there is no winner take all scenario for cryptocurrency because there are far too many wide-ranging use cases for any single cryptocurrency to possibly address them. I would be seriously disappointed if Bitcoin dominance didn't eventually fall, because that means that the only interesting use case would be by replacing sending money and value, which is just the tip of the iceberg. Just like Google can't do everything on the internet, no matter how hard it tries, there are always other areas for other technology companies to compete and innovate in. The tech world would be pretty disappointing if there were only room for one Google. Now you know. Back to you, Michael.
Awesome. Really, really interesting segment.
Yeah.
And yeah, wow, it just really gets me excited about, the utilization. I won't lie, I've been studying charts, I've been studying price movements and stuff. Of course, we're all trying to make money, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just always nice to see the bigger picture and to realize that we are in a revolutionary time phase whereby things are shifting from the old way of doing things to a new way of doing things, which cryptocurrency, I believe, leads the way in that, especially with a lot of this utilization. Technology in the future is going to be intertwined with cryptocurrency, I believe so, in every form of fashion. All right, so we're going to go to our next segment, which is the questions and answers with Mark. Mark, I'm going to let you take the wheel and give us these blazing hot questions.
Thanks, Michael. I just have a few blazing hot questions. The first one talks about gold. So they asked, similar to gold, you see a market stabilization when the cost of mining gets close to the cost of the mined items. In that case, as cost of mining increases, shall this not slow down the numbers of miners, especially as old hardware becomes less efficient?
Nice. Mike, you want to start this one off or you want me to go?
Sure, I'll start this one off. And yeah, to a large degree, that's already happened, because you used to see a lot of people, they would actually have YouTube videos. They would create YouTube videos of how they've built, their mining rigs and what they have and what they're using. You don't see that anymore. And you also see the big players, like we did a segment a little while back showing all the facilities that have these rows and rows of racks and racks of CPUs and GPUs and all the rest of this stuff. There's also been in the news where we hear about companies moving to certain locations where they're near hydro dams to be able to power all of these mega facilities that are doing mining. So I think that's pretty much already happened, and the big players are fewer and fewer now.
Absolutely. And, I totally agree with Mike on that statement, and I'm more of an advocate of the proof of stake than the proof of mining, just because of the, even though it may not affect the environment as the whole financial industry in and of itself, it still adds to that effect on the ecosystem. It has a slight negative effect on proof of work And I just see the future in proof of stake. It's just more efficient, it's faster, and results are more evident in a faster rate too. And then as the hash rate increases, the difficulty increases, and so that makes the computing a little bit harder and more taxing on the hardware too. So that's just one thing to take note of.
Yeah, okay. Good point.
Yeah, it's a good point. Okay, let's move on to question number 2. It says, how will the sanctions imposed on Russia impact the crypto community? And I know there's a lot of sanctions that's been imposed on Russia.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that the sanctions on Russia will really negatively impact the crypto community. Once again, I think that crypto community came into existence based off a sort of notion of resistance from centralized control. And so I think there's always a way in which, I always like to symbolize the crypto community to Star Wars, like the rebels in Star Wars trying to go against the Empire and stuff like that. And so that's just how I see it. And so just I always feel that Russia has been making some moves in which that it's going to use cryptocurrency to and utilize it more because of these sanctions, and that's going to add more to the crypto market, in my opinion. And that's what I think of it at the moment. So I don't think so. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to have a it will propaganda wise, it may look like it has a negative effect, but in actual reality, what's going on behind the scene is that more avenues are just being created. And I feel like Russia is going to probably legalize more avenues of Bitcoin, probably integrate it more within the legal tender. And it's going to expand. That's my opinion. Sorry.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mike?
Well, in terms of the crypto community at large, I completely agree with you, Michael. I think it's going to have more of an effect on Russians because, as I was kind of doing some research on this, apparently the Russian central bank, they were in the process of rolling out sanctions against cryptocurrency. So, they're going to have to kind of roll back a lot of that. And technology wise, those sanctions or the impact in terms of Russians being able to sell hardware, it's going to make it difficult for them to be able to sell hardware to others outside of the country that kind of depend on that to build crypto mining rigs. So, but like Michael said, people get innovative in these types of situations, and a lot of companies are going to take advantage of that. So somebody's going to step up and fill that void. Russia is going to be hurting in more than one way, in terms of being able to use crypto in Russia and being able to make profit from selling hardware. But I think, like Michael said, the crypto community itself is very vibrant, very dynamic, very flexible. So I honestly don't see us missing a beat.
Yeah, and I always see a way of us bouncing back. It's people who are just getting in, just see the surface level. Yeah. But the war against people who are trying to take control and people who are trying to liberate themselves has been a long war. It's been a long war, and we have been seeing things like this for a long time. So these type of things don't shake us too much when we see these things, even in pandemonious times like this. And so, like, just to add a little bit to that, Russia, they were, one of the things they were sanctioned on was, which was interesting to me, was the some of the food industries like McDonald's and KFC and stuff like that. And so I read an article about Russia saying, okay, well, if you're going to take McDonald's, we'll just make McFarnold's. They'll just switch it up. And if you're going to take KFC, we'll switch up the name and make another hand-me-down name, and then we'll still be serving our chicken, and stuff like that. So, I mean, resilience comes in many forms and fashion, and but how it affects the crypto community as a whole, I think that's what you meant by the question mark.
Well, how will the sanctions imposed on Russia? How will the sanctions imposed on Russia impact the crypto community?
Yeah, the crypto community globally, or the crypto community in Russia?
Globally.
Yeah, so definitely, so I still stand on what I said. The resiliency and the buoyancy and how malleable the crypto community is. I believe that just new ways and new forms of doing things will grow out of this, because the seed has already been planted. The baby is already 9 months, and nothing you and I can or anybody can do will stop this baby from being born. So it's coming out one way or another.
Yeah.
Okay, and just one thing to add on to that, like Michael mentioned, the sanctions in terms of the fast food. That's, to me, I see that's an upside for Russia. Even that hyper processed food, not having access to hyper processed food is not a bad thing.
Right.
So happy eating, Russians.
And we support everybody in Ukraine, and we hope that they get the safety and the safety and care that they need, and we do not want this war to continue any longer.
Right.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to mention, because with the sanctions on Russia, I believe that this has really been like a marketing campaign for crypto. I mean, in the past, when United States or other countries, whenever they've issued sanctions on other countries, it's been almost like a death sentence for that country. Even looking back at other countries that they put sanctions on, like Cuba or North Korea, and it's basically been a death sentence for those countries because they've been cut off financially. But I think for the first time in history, when those sanctions were imposed on Russia, first thing Russia did was to turn to cryptocurrency. They turned to cryptocurrency. And we just got through talking about India with that 30% tax. India and Russia are allies. For the first time, Russia, they have an alternative besides fiat money. They can turn to cryptocurrency to sell gas, to sell anything to other countries or their allies without United States or any other countries being able to stop them.
Even it's interesting that you bring this up. I don't want to go too deep into politics, but Russia did threaten that they would want to receive their energy payment from Germany in their own fiat currency than the one they already had established with Germany, which I'm not sure would be the dollar or something similar. So they're already making moves towards that, and it's just real theatrical seeing how things are being played out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and especially since they cut, I think part of the sanctions was they cut them off from the SWIFT bank, which is the global bank.
The Swiss bank, because and this is historic because usually that's a safe haven. The Swiss bank will you go there and they will keep your money for you. Usually in the most diabolical situations, they'll still have your money safe. And so for this to happen, it just shows the type of conglomerate nature, the type of cohesiveness that these powers have over other nations and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, so I really think this is almost a positive thing for the crypto community, actually, because we're able to see alternatives. I mean, besides fiat, yeah, the sanctions are imposed on Russia, but it's only affecting their fiat money. Can't be imposed on cryptocurrency at all. So
no way.
Russia still have access to money through the cryptocurrency market.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like 20 years ago, I could see this really hurting them. Yeah. But right now, you see, it's just a different time. And Russia knows that it's a different time. They know it's a different time and it's a different energy. And that's why they flexing, I believe so.
Well, they can only flex so much because, and I agree, it's a good thing for crypto, but it's still a bad thing from Russia overall because like we talked about before, having some of these large banks, none of this has been really fully established yet. So there are very, very few markets that they can utilize crypto in. It's a good thing for crypto. It's still a bad thing for Russia because it's just not fully utilized, in all avenues. And just ask those millionaire and billionaire Russians who have their assets frozen, their fiat assets frozen, they still can't completely utilize crypto. So I believe, like you mentioned earlier, some of the countries that have been in the past who have been, sanctioned have been, really hurt, and it's taken them a while to recover from this. I think it's still going to take a while for Russia to recover. But like you guys mentioned, I think they're going to come out of it in a much better place because of crypto.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right, Mike. And just to add on this, because it's so juicy, it's just like at the end of the day, Russia is hurting. They're in a very unfavorable position right now based on these sanctions that are being applied by a whole gang of nations and stuff on them. But at the end of the day, like even Coinbase has sanctioned them and certain other crypto entities have sanctioned them. So even for the oligarchs in that nation to withdraw crypto funds, it would be tough. But this just makes them more innovative, just like with the McDonald's thing. We don't know what's going to pop up out of this. We don't know what fiat things are going to pop up out of this that might be a game changer. So as I said, I got my popcorn and I'm watching, we'll see what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting statement that you made about Coinbase sanctioning them.
Right.
If the decentralized exchanges, I wonder if they can still use the decentralized exchanges though.
Oh, they can for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to, it kind of ties into what we talked about earlier too. Anything centralized, like you mentioned, Michael called it the oligarch. That whole, and I'm trying not to be too political as well, but that whole system, it's just all of its weaknesses, all of its negativism, all of its man, the way it's operated, the way people don't have control of their own, all of that is being exposed through so many things, and this in particular, that centralized financial system is antiquated, and it's just anti people. It's only designed to help the 1%. So yeah, Binance, all these centralized platforms are the thing that they lived and breathed by, is the thing that they're actually being killed by, and the thing that could possibly save them is the decentralization, the decentralized platforms. So if that doesn't help people to wake up and see and smell the roses, I don't know what will. I honestly and truly don't.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you mentioned the 1%, which is the richest people in Russia. But it's funny because the 1% are actually not even in Russia. They took their yachts and just left Russia as soon as the war started.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Dang.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. Well, you don't get to be the 1% by being stupid. So,
Right.
Go figure.
wow. And hats off to whoever posed this question, because this is a really great question.
Yeah.
It got me talking.
Me too.
Okay, final question. They asked, with the high global inflation rate continuing to increase, is this a good thing or a bad thing for the crypto market?
You mind if I take this one first?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Honestly, I think it's a great thing. I honestly think it's a great thing because people have already begun to flock away from fiat into crypto by the droves. And this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I mean, it really could. Because again, like I just mentioned, that centralized banking system was never designed to benefit the individual. It was only and always ever designed to benefit the elite. So people having access to a decentralized currency, even though in the early days, and even now, because 2009, crypto was born in 2009, and here we are 2022. People are still trying to get, some people, we're part of the community, so we know there are thousands and if not millions of people around the world that have already taken root to this. But the rest of those people who are still trying to even just wrap their heads around this, now they're actually taking a look. Now you're holding your head up and you're actually looking to see what other options you have. So honestly, I see this personally. I see it as a good thing.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Mike. I see this as a good thing. Even as the global inflation rates continue to increase, we can see that the how it's reflecting on the crypto market. We are still having a lot of bullish sentiment on the crypto market, and we're still seeing prices go up, and we're still seeing a lot of adoption. And so that once again, just how Mike said, people are realizing just how inflated fiat is, and just how the value is not what they thought it was, and they're seeing that a lot of this stuff is just conceptualized in private spaces. Private entities are conceptualizing this and making it a consensus for us to bring in a valuation. So in other words, a lot of these prices are just imaginary and are being printed and being devalued. And the only people that is hurting is the common folk, And so at the end of the day, people are really coming to this mass consciousness about fiat currency, and saying, okay, it's time to make a change. And they're flocking out, just like Mike said, into the realm of crypto and other places where they can safely store their assets without these without it being tempered with these high inflation rates.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I can't remember who made this quote, but somebody said that the definition of inflation is legalized theft.
Especially if you control it. Right.
Because it's when you think about it, That's just go completely contrary to the monetary system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even I also heard that income taxation is legalized stuff, but I don't want to go down that road. But
yeah,
this
that's just a slippery slope right there. But
yeah, but there's just so man, so many people are robbing us, man.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just leave it alone because they have the guns and I don't.
Well, the aliens have bigger guns.
Way bigger guns. So yeah, a wise man once said nothing. So I'm gonna just take a hint from that. Leave it alone.
Let me just mention, because you mentioned that, and I didn't realize that cryptocurrency was created in 2009. And 2009, that's the same year as the financial crisis, when the financial crisis happened.
Yes, sir.
The real estate market crashed.
Yes.
And the financial systems basically crashed. There were so many companies that went out of business. I think it was Lehman Brothers that went out of business that year, and the financial market crashed. And it's interesting that cryptocurrency was created from that year. That's really interesting. And not only that, but I know Bitcoin was created to be a hedge against inflation.
Yep.
And as inflation is still getting out of control right now, that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency values have been fluctuating up and down, up and down. And I know some people had mentioned before that, hey, if Bitcoin was supposed to be a hedge against inflation, why is it not, skyrocketing right now? But it's still in its, I don't know if you can call it its infancy, but it still hasn't been around that long. Yeah. But if we look at the value, the cryptocurrency values, it hasn't really fluctuated that much. I mean, the value of Bitcoin, it's fluctuated a little, but I mean, the value of it's ranged between, I think, $40,000 and $48,000. That's not that big of a swing if you compare that to the stock market, because the stock market crashes. As soon as inflation hits, the stock market crashes, and it doesn't really recover until inflation has gone away. Mm-hmm. It's not the same thing that happens in the crypto market, because it may have fluctuated a little bit, but for the overall status of cryptocurrency, it's remained steady throughout this entire inflation period. So I think Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is doing exactly what it was created to do, and that's be stable and be a hedge against inflation.
Yeah, can I just add a little bit onto that in terms of the crashing and things going away? I think the major factor, though, that whole little intertwinement is the fact that money is being printed to try to counter that, which causes inflation to go higher. So it's that circle, that vicious circle, that's causing all of that. But yeah, and I completely agree with you. I think Bitcoin is also doing its job. It's being a hash against all of that, because you can't get out of that. You cannot get out of that vicious fiat circle. It's too late. They're way too far down the river. You'll never get out of that.
Right. Yeah. And there's just so much information on it, to just how our banking systems operate, to how the Fed does increases the interest rates, to just all sorts of games, and how they not saying manipulation to throw daggers, but this is literally what they're doing. They're manipulating the rates, they're manipulating the prices. They are going behind the door to get people think that the bank utilizes their money when you store the money with the bank, but they actually don't really utilize your money. What they do is they go to the Federal Reserve and they get cheaper interest rates, and they get double the amount of money that you get. It's called fractional reserve banking. And actually, the money that you give them is a huge liability. They don't even want to touch that money. They would rather get cheaper money from the government, and the government just prints that money, and they keep printing. And so it's just a whole economy of debt, and it just runs on that. It's never ending debt. So, and it's never going to go away. If it goes away, the whole economy is going to crash, because that's what unless we get a new tender, because this tender is not based on anything but debt. So that's why when you go for a loan, you don't pay any taxes on the loan, because that's what you're supposed to be doing in this economy, because it's a debt-based economy, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I encourage people to do their research on this. And that's why, cryptocurrency definitely is a way to not only what was the word you used, Mike?
Mark actually used it it's a hedge. It's a hedge against
a hedge against
that whole financial system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be learned. Yeah. I'm learning every day. I don't know nothing. I'm learning every day, and this is just a whole lot of fun for me. It's interesting. These are my views, and I have nothing against anybody else's views. Please pay your taxes to the government. I'm not in any way not saying pay your taxes. Please pay your taxes to Uncle Sam. He needs them. And be a good civilian at every point in turn. Thank you. And nothing of what I said is financial advice. Yeah. No financial advice at all. Do your own research at the end of the day. Be your own dictionary, be your own bank, be your own researched individual.
Absolutely.
Right. Yep.
All right.
And I just want to throw out a classic Klingon proverb that says, "Stop fighting in a burning house." Which means no matter how hard you fight, if you're fighting in a burning house, even if you win a fight, that house is still going to burn down and you still will have nothing. And it's the same thing that's going on with fiat. No matter how hard they fight, no matter how much money they print out, eventually that house is going to burn down. And if any of our viewers, if you haven't started investing in cryptocurrency yet, I advise you to start investing in cryptocurrency, regardless of whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, whatever you want to start investing in, just start investing in it now. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. You could just invest $50, $25, whatever you have, just invest it just to get started investing in it. Because in the long term, it will pay off for you, because you will need that long term.
Right. And sorry, go ahead, Mark.
No, I'm finished.
Oh, okay. And let me just say one last thing, just to put the cherry on top. So as Mark was saying, please try your best to learn and invest in crypto. It might save your life one day, financially. And also, let me just tell you how far things are down with fiat, if you didn't already know. If China acts back for its money, because the U.S. has been borrowing from China. If China acts for its money back, do y'all know how much we owe China?
A lot.
I know it's in the trillions.
Yeah.
We owe China $1.6 trillion US. So if China acts back for all their money, it's over.
Well, Michael, remember what we just got through talking about. It's never over when you can print at will. It will severely cripple the U.S. economy, but that's only a factor. And I know this is a slippery slope, but that's only a factor if they care about us.
Right. And I also wanted to add that the federal debt held by the public increased from 14.6 trillion in 2017 to over 21 trillion in 2020 and counting. So
that's how they'll get it. That's how they'll get it to pay China.
Just make more debt.
But what about the people that says, oh, all they have to do is just print that money out and give it to China?
Well, at the end of the day, that's why milk used to cost $1. I mean, used to cost 10 cents or whatever, and now it costs about $4 or $5.
Yeah, legalized theft.
Oh boy!
You know, I guess also, and this is my last statement. The way I see it, that vicious cycle in terms of all that, the fiat, the inflation, and all the rest of that, it's no different in terms of the world economy. If China were to call in that debt, number one, they would literally have to go to war to get it, because you can't give what you don't have. And then if the U.S. does start printing to try to print their way out of debt, that's going to do even more damage to the world economy. So that scenario in and of itself may not be, even though it exists, it may not be likely to happen, because that is the literal definition of cutting off your, what's the term? Cutting off your nose to spite your face. So if China were to do that, and they know that, that we're so steeped in their economy, they're so steeped in ours. We would literally be killed. Like the Chinese. I mean, sorry, the Klingon proverb. You know, that would literally be two people fighting in a burning house. You know, no matter who wins the fight, you both die.
Right.
So we just remain slaves to a debt economy until I guess Jesus come back. Something. It's horrible, but it's the reality.
Be the one doing the slapping.
Mm-hmm. Keep my name out your Ooh, all right.
We went deep on that.
Yeah,
and that's it for the Q&A.
Sounds good. All right. That's all the time we have. That is all the time. All right, that's all the time we have for today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Please do not forget to subscribe, drop a like, hit that notification button if you haven't already done so. Don't forget to check our other videos for more information not covered in this episode, and also kindly leave some questions in the comments and some comments below, so we can try our best to answer them for you. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll try to give you more content around the same time next week. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And also, before I forget, we also have affiliate links down there. Try your best to utilize them in any way, so that you can get good deals on products that we put down there. And also help support our channel's growth too. Thank you very much, and thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you same time next week. Peace.
Peace.
Tomorrow can be a better day if you're looking to get some figures for better pay. Invest in yourself, man, that is the only way. Get your clout up, 100K followers. How you do that, man? By not being a follower. How you get there, man? Hustling and bustling. Then you spice it up, put some brain.